Major policies added to draft documents submitted to the 14th Congress. And later on, Vietnam, New Zealand promoting relations to new height. In our world news, Israel releases over 600 Palestinian prisoners.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning into 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lilin Lei with the latest updates. Now, on Thursday morning, General Secretary Tô Lâm chaired a working session with the standing committees of the subcommittees preparing for the 14th National Party Congress and the steering committee for summarizing 40 years of implementation of the renovation process. More to follow.
Following General Secretary Tô Lâm direction, policies from the 10th Central Conference have been reviewed and synthesized for consideration, supplementation, and updating in the draft documents for the 14th National Party Congress. These include economic growth targets for 2026-2030 and ongoing efforts to streamline the organizational apparatus of agencies, units, and organizations. Other important topics addressed include national defense, security, foreign affairs, and anti-corruption, waste, and negativity measures. General Secretary Tô Lâm commended the document subcommittees for completing substantial work in a limited time frame and instructed the standing committees of the subcommittees and the steering committee to refine the draft reports to achieve the set target. The General Secretary specifically emphasized that throughout the document, the party's key role in building and leading the country into a new era must be highlighted.
On Thursday morning, during a government regular meeting with state-owned enterprises, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính urged these organizations, which collectively manage nearly $156.5 billion in assets, to embrace innovation and accelerate growth. He called for a minimum 8% growth this year, aiming for double-digit expansion in the near future to propel Vietnam into a new era of development. He outlined 6 strategic priorities where state-owned enterprises should lead, namely, driving innovation and digital transformation in accordance with the party's Resolution 57, fostering strategic breakthroughs through institutional reform, implementing sustainable and inclusive economic development strategies, pioneering emerging economic models including digital, green, circular, and knowledge-based economies, strengthening social welfare contributions to ensure no one is left behind, and enhancing Vietnam's global brand through the advancement of Make in Vietnam products. The Prime Minister's call underscores the critical role of state-owned enterprises must play in shaping Vietnam's future and in elevating the country on a global stage. Within the framework of the official visit to Vietnam and attendance at the second ASEAN Future Forum by New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher, the two countries have signed a joint statement on upgrading Vietnam-New Zealand relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership. To understand more about the shared journey of both countries as well as prospects for future cooperation, our reporter had an interview with the Prime Minister himself.
Well, thank you for joining our interview. As we know, our 2025 marks 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between two countries, and just yesterday we upgraded to comprehensive strategic partnership. It has been a long journey for both countries. So how would you assess key achievement in bilateral relations over the years, and why is it the right time to upgrade the relationship?
Well, firstly, Sin Chow, it's great to be with you. Can I say thank you very much for the chance to talk with you. Look, it's a really special relationship, New Zealand and Vietnam. It's been going for 50 years, and it really started with students going to New Zealand under the Colombo Plan. And from there, the people-to-people connections have been built, and what we have achieved in 50 years is fantastic. Our two-way trade between our countries grew 40% in the last 5 years. But now is the right time for us to upgrade to a comprehensive strategic partnership. And Prime Minister Ching was the very first foreign leader that I invited to New Zealand when I became Prime Minister just over a year ago. And that's because I see that there is so much potential and values that we are aligned around that we can continue to deepen and build out our relationship. So we have lots of capability to actually to offer Vietnam as Vietnam makes the transition from into middle income and ultimately into high income by 2045. So it's just, Vietnam's an exciting country. It's going to be an even more influential country, a wealthier country, and a country that's much more embedded in everyone's supply chains in the next 10 years. And so that's why it's a pretty cool time to be doing it.
The leaders of both sides have agreed to increase bilateral trade turnover to $3 billion by 2026. And with the current potential, which area should the two countries focus on to achieve this goal?
In education, there is a real opportunity. I mean, New Zealand has 8 universities. They're in the top 2% of the universities in the world. We have already a large number of Vietnamese students, but they do very, very well in New Zealand. I think tourism is a good opportunity, and it's great that Vietjet is going to be offering services. That means it's the first Vietnamese airline to fly directly to New Zealand, and that just means that the people-to-people connections can happen more and more. As we have a huge number of young New Zealanders who want to come and travel throughout Vietnam. It's one of the most popular destinations for young New Zealanders, and it's growing really quickly.
How do you evaluate Vietnam's economic growth as well as its role and position in current global trade activities?
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Vietnam's been the most fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia for the last 25 years. I think you've averaged 5 to 6% growth every single year. That is 2, sometimes even 3 times more than what developed countries are experiencing. But the fact that you've been able to do it year in, year out is just so impressive. And that's why, no doubt about it, you are the rising star within the region. But importantly, if you look forward, your leaders want to even step up more of that ambition. And the reports are that the economy will continue to grow at 7% a year for the next few years.
As one of the 3 leaders participating in the ASEAN Future Forum 2025, could you share your views on Vietnam's roles and position within regional and global frameworks?
What's important is that if you fast forward even 10 years from now, Vietnam's going to be a much wealthier country. It's going to be also a much more influential country, and it will also be very embedded into everybody's supply chain and a much higher value. And so, Vietnam has a very important role to play within ASEAN. Of course, ASEAN as an economy will probably be the 4th biggest economy in the world in a very short period of time. So it's got an increasing role to play, and within that, Vietnam has a very important role to play.
Well, thank you, Prime Minister, for joining our interview today.
Nearly $2.37 billion in public investment funds have been disbursed during the first 2 months of the year, accounting for 6.9% of the annual target and over 7% of the target set by the Prime Minister. Local authorities have disbursed over 8.5% of their allocated funds, while the central government's disbursement rate stands at just 5.6%, lower than last year. Of the 47 central agencies in 63 provinces, only 4 central ministries and 37 provinces have exceeded the national average disbursement rate. The Ministry of Finance has urged all agencies to complete their detailed fund allocation plans by March the 31st and accelerate public investment disbursement to meet the goal of using over 95% of the planned funds. Vietnam's exports to China through the Laos-Cai border gate have dropped by 40% in the first 2 months of this year compared to the same period last year. Several products, including durian and jackfruit, have seen significant declines due to stricter Chinese regulations, particularly regarding pesticide residue checks. Additionally, the export of Vietnamese agricultural products has been affected as many fruits are not yet in harvest season. Young entrepreneurs are increasingly targeting niche markets for local agricultural exports amid production challenges. This approach not only secures markets for local produce, but also generates higher economic value through deep processing techniques that significantly enhance product worth.
These ready-to-eat grilled rice papers are being packaged for export to a niche market in Europe. Once considered a fragile snack difficult to transport and limited to domestic consumption, Cham has successfully leveraged the unique value of Dun Dung, Lum Dong's specialty, to expand overseas, doubling its product value.
We researched market trends and identified exactly what they needed. We then extended the shelf life to retain the same quality and taste as in Vietnam.
To tap into niche markets, these young businesses focus on the quality and distinctive characteristics of local products, directly sharing their stories with international customers. Bin Phuc cashews, roasted over a wood fire, maintain a richer flavor, while Shan Tuit tea leaves in Lao Cai are carefully hand-picked to preserve their premium quality. This meticulous attention to detail significantly boosts export value.
Creating spaces where customers can experience products firsthand enhances interaction. At the same time, improving product quality to meet international standards is crucial.
We help businesses participate in trade fairs and connect with experts to meet export standards in production facilities and packaging. However, businesses must also perfect their products themselves to remain competitive.
By 2025, Vietnam's agricultural sector could reach or surpass the export target of 64 to 65 billion US dollars if market opportunities are fully utilized. However, global trade remains unpredictable, requiring businesses to adopt flexible strategies. Tapping into niche markets for local agricultural products presents a promising opportunity, as these markets still hold vast potential.
The Ministry of Finance has proposed a 30% reduction in land rent payments for 2025. This proposal is part of a draft government decree aimed at lowering land rental fees next year. The measure targets those who lease land directly from the state through valid agreements, including land lease decisions, contracts, or certificates of land use rights issued by authorized government agencies, with annual rent payments due in 2025. The regulation will also apply to land users who don't currently qualify for exemptions or reductions, those whose previous reductions have expired, and those already receiving rent reductions under relevant land and related laws. On Thursday morning, Phie held a conference on combating illegal, unreported and unregulated or IUU fishing and preparing for the European Commission's inspection. Leaders from 8 provinces and cities from Hue to Ninh Thuận attended. Vietnam has worked to meet EC recommendations during the 7 years since receiving the yellow card, focusing on managing fishing fleets, monitoring vessels' activities, tracing aquatic product origins, and enforcing regulations. Currently, 7 of 8 Central Region provinces have announced fishing quotas, increased inspections, issued licenses, and updated vessel monitoring system or VMS data. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is urging stricter enforcement against VMS violation and harsher penalties for illegal fishing. It has also complied reports and data to meet EC appraisal requirements for the upcoming 5th inspection. Now, before we move on, let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and some world currencies in today's market. Coming up next on VTV News, Vietnam celebrates 70th anniversary of Doctor's Day. And later on, 2 landmine clearance projects in Quảng Trị resume operations. Now moving on to other important updates. To mark the 70th anniversary of Vietnam's Doctor's Day, National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn visited the Friendship Hospital on Thursday to congratulate the staff. He commended the hospital's progress and called for more widespread and effective implementation of 3 key healthcare laws passed by the National Assembly: the revised law on medical examination and treatment, the amended law on pharmacy, and the revised health insurance law. He emphasized the importance of investing in infrastructure and improving healthcare service quality. The National Assembly has also approved a resolution to pilot policies promoting breakthroughs in science, technology, and national digital transformation. During his visit, Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn awarded the title of Outstanding Doctor to several physicians at the hospital. Vietnamese Doctors' Day is an occasion to honor doctors and their indispensable teammates, nurses. Nurses consistently support doctors in treating patients and maintain close relationships with those under their care. Their work comprises silent yet crucial tasks. Every day and hour, nurses face pressures that few people truly understand.
During her 10 years of caring for diabetic patients with foot complications, Nurse Phie has experienced a wide range of emotions.
This working environment carries a very high risk of infection. When patients first arrive, they're often irritated due to their condition, so we treat them gently to help them feel more comfortable. I simply believe in contributing a small part of myself to improve patients' health.
Each department has its own unique characteristics, yet all require nurses with strong expertise, patience, responsibility, and, most importantly, empathy for patients.
The doctors all encouraged my son to talk to my child so that he would feel comfortable. Even though he was in pain, he felt less tired.
The role of nurses is often overlooked. They serve as the vital connection between doctors and patients, maintaining regular contact with those under their care. Nurses are also crucial in detecting early warning signs in patients.
During his nearly 16 years as a nurse in the pediatric hematology department, Phie has witnessed countless tears and moments of laughter.
Young babies can only communicate through crying. As nurses caring for sick children, we must observe them to understand their needs and provide appropriate care.
Seeing patients recover and leave the hospital is the greatest reward, one that gives each nurse more positive energy to continue their meaningful work.
In times of fire, while others run out, we run in. These heartfelt words from firefighters and rescue teams capture their willingness to risk their lives for others. With immense courage and self-sacrifice, they fearlessly face danger to protect lives. To those rescued from flames, these firefighters are true heroes.
If it weren't for their timely response, my family's fate would have been completely different. We are incredibly fortunate. Just as we were choking in thick smoke, I saw a firefighter carrying my unconscious wife downstairs while his teammates escorted our children to safety. These words of deep gratitude come from Tuan and Hao, who were rescued by the Bading District Police during a house fire on New Year's Eve. Their home still bears the blackened scars of the fire. They remain overwhelmed with emotion when recalling those life or death moments.
No words can fully express my gratitude. My entire family is alive. There's nothing more precious than that.
Corporal Vu Kang An was one of the firefighters who rushed into the flames to save Tuan's family. He suffered burns on his neck and back from falling embers. But in those critical moments, rescuing lives was his only priority.
When we received the emergency call, we were ready to do whatever it took to save those trapped inside. Despite thick smoke, toxic fumes, and unstable structures, I didn't hesitate.
In January alone, Vietnam recorded 375 fires. Firefighters mobilized over 1,000 emergency vehicles and nearly 8,000 personnel to battle the blazes. Thanks to their efforts, 39 lives were saved, and hundreds more were safely evacuated. These powerful emotional images of firefighters risking everything to bring safety to others will forever stand as a testament to their bravery and sacrifice.
2 landmine clearance projects in Vietnam's Quang Tri province are back in action following a temporary exemption from the U.S. State Department's foreign aid suspension. The 90-day exemption will allow the continuation of the projects, environmental restoration and war legacy recovery, and landmine detection and disposal to reduce risks and support socio-economic development in Quang Tri. These initiatives also aim to assist individuals with disabilities, including Agent Orange victims, helping them reintegrate into the community and improve their livelihoods. Similar projects in Quang Binh province have also resumed after the U.S. lifted its suspension there. A new border patrol road in Tây Ninh province was officially opened yesterday in the Biên Giới commune of Châu Thành district. Stretching over 3 kilometers and featuring 2 bridges, the project represents an investment of approximately $5 million. Supported by the 7th Military Zone, the road completes the province border patrol network. This infrastructure will strengthen national sovereignty, ensure border security, and enhance social order, while also improving the livelihoods of local residents in the border area. Ramuan Tết is a period when Cham communities gather for 3 days of rituals honoring their ancestors. The celebration includes restoring temples, visiting ancestral graves, and praying for prosperity and peace. More than just a religious tradition, Ramuan Tết strengthens cultural and family bonds. At the heart of these connections are the unmarked stones in Cham burial sites, each carrying profound meaning.
This is one of the oldest cemeteries of the Cham Bani followers in Ninh Thuan province. As soon as the sun rises, many people gather here to visit these time-worn stones and clear the grass around them, ensuring everything is neat and clean. Offerings, including betel and areca, are carefully prepared. Then comes a sacred ritual, inviting their ancestors home for Ramuan Tết.
The stones symbolize our homes in the afterlife, 2 stones for the head and foot.
Each departed soul is marked by 2 stones. Over time, the Cham Bani and Islamic cemeteries have become long rows of weathered stones, a silent yet powerful reminder of community heritage.
We must remember, these stones are our ancestors. We must come and invite them home for Tết, no matter what.
Over generations, their identities fade into obscurity. Yet one thing remains certain: they are ancestors, honored and remembered by the entire village. The ritual of inviting them home for Ramuan Tết is therefore not performed by individual families, but by entire clans.
These rows of stones represent the entire lineage of Cham Bani families. When they pass, they become ancestors, no longer distinguished by gender or age. During remembrance, all are invited back together.
Ramuan Tết is a time to return home and stand beside the sacred stones that mark the resting places of Cham people's ancestors. It is a journey back to their roots, and these silent stones, steeped in mystery and history, continue to bind the Cham community together.
Coming up next in our world news, Israel releases over 600 Palestinian prisoners. And later on, the U.S. leaves open possibility of delaying taxes on Mexico and Canada. Now moving over to our world news, Israel released more than 600 Palestinian prisoners on Thursday morning as part of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. A convoy of buses carrying the Palestinian prisoners arrived in the West Bank city of Ramallah, where they underwent quick medical examinations. Earlier, Hamas handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages killed in Gaza to Israel through an intermediary, the International Committee of the Red Cross. The bodies were transferred to the Red Cross in southern Gaza and driven to the border point at Kerem Shalom. U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday raised hopes for another month-long pause on steep new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, saying they could take effect on April the 2nd. Mexican diplomats are scheduled to meet with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington on Thursday to discuss ways to avoid the tariffs, which are set to take effect on March the 3rd if no deal is reached. Mexico and Canada have made several moves in recent weeks to appease the U.S. A NASA satellite was launched into space from Florida on Wednesday to identify places on the moon's surface where water exists. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Kennedy Space Center, carrying a satellite to detect and map the moon's water resources. Though the lunar surface is often thought of as arid, previous measurements have found the presence of water even in warmer sunlit locations. For future moon exploration, including potential long-term lunar bases staffed by astronauts, lunar water would be vital. It could be processed not only as drinking water, but also into breathable oxygen and hydrogen fuel for rockets. Hikers are taking advantage of freezing winter weather to get a rare glimpse inside short-lived and potentially lethal ice caves that appeared on the Motorrad glacier in eastern Switzerland. More to follow.
Torrential meltwater from the glacier carves out the tunnels as it surges out under the ice. The cavities are enlarged further by warm air currents flowing into the gap. More than half of the glaciers in the Alps are in Switzerland, where temperatures are rising by around twice the global average due to climate change.
So, it's just so beautiful here. We came here for the first time and we really wanted to see these glacier caves and we're just fascinated by it. It's just fantastic.
Well, it feels amazing. I feel surpassed. You know, when I walk in, it's like something that is very big compared to me. I feel like I'm a small creature when I'm in this here, and I feel like I'm a part of nature.
During cold winter months, freezing conditions allow visitors to walk inside some tunnels, but in summer, they become particularly dangerous or even impossible to visit, as thawing ice blocks can fall and the water stream is torrential.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download the mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.